Sausage, biscuits, and gravy, but vegan. Okay, every once in a while, you just need some comfort food. So we're going to start by making the biscuits. And for that, I have here some non-dairy milk. It happens to be just cashew milk and some lemon juice. And I actually have a half a cup of non-dairy milk and a half tablespoon of lemon juice. And I'm just going to pour that right in. Because what this does is it kind of curdles the milk, makes buttermilk. Now I'll just set that to the side for a few minutes. In a mixing bowl, 1 cup of flour, 1/2 tablespoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I happen to be using pink Himalayan salt, but you can use the salt of your choice. Once you have all the dry ingredients in there, you want to just give this a little bit of a mix. The secret to biscuits is don't overmix once there's liquids. The other secret is butter. And of course, this is vegan butter, and I'm going to use 2 tablespoons, roughly. I'm going to eyeball it. Now, you want to keep your butter cold. That's a very, very important thing. So be kind of quick about it when you start doing this, but what I want to do is kind of get in there and make it mix with the flour. So I'm just kind of doing a pinching motion. It takes a few minutes, but you don't want to take it too long because you'll heat it up and then you'll have flat biscuits, and it just, nobody likes flat biscuits. You want fluffy biscuits. Once you have it looking about like this, where it doesn't really look like flour anymore, it kind of looks more like almost a cornmeal kind of consistency. I just like to get some off my fingers. And then I'm going to take our buttermilk that we made earlier and just pour that right in. Now at this point, I don't want to overmix. I just want it to come together, okay? Just get everything wet. I'm folding rather than truly mixing and stirring hard. Reason being, if you mix this too hard, you are actually going to create the gluten in the flour, and that's just going to make for a tougher biscuit than we really want to have. But I don't want any of that dry left in there either. Okay, it's mixed. Now we got to roll it out and cut them up. Okay, for that, just want to put a little bit of flour out on our work surface. Yes, I'm using white flour. I know, I almost never do. But for this, every once in a while, you just gotta, enjoy it a little bit. I'm gonna get our dough mixture out onto the board. Now that it's covered on one side, I actually want to kind of flip it over to get some flour on the other side, just to make it less sticky. Very sticky. A little bit of flour. Do not forget your dough scraper. Always have your dough scraper. It's a very soft dough on purpose. Should get about 4 biscuits out of this. So I want to just pat it down. I have a rolling pin if I need it, but I don't usually have to. I just kind of pat it out to the size I need. And then standard biscuit cutter. Just push straight down and give it a twist, and you'll see they come apart pretty easily. And straight down and give it a twist. Straight down, twist. And then, sometimes you have to use the spread it out again method. Looks like I might get 5 biscuits out of this one. So I'm just going to take that dough and pat it back together. I don't like to waste any. So that's why you're seeing me reuse the dough. Some people don't. I never understood that. And I'm just going to press down and make another one. And it looks like I actually have enough to make another biscuit. So I'll just push that back together again. Might even be able to make 2 more. Now, as you do this, the last few are actually going to be a little bit tougher because you had to press them out again and that sort of thing. So yeah, ideally you want to just do it in one, but it doesn't always work, and it's okay. This is comfort food. Don't get stressed. Don't get worried about it. Just enjoy. I'm just going to press that last one into our biscuit cutter here to set the size. And there we go. It ain't pretty, but it'll still taste good. Because I know I haven't mentioned it yet, you want to preset your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll have the Celsius right in here. I have here a half sheet tray, and I'm just going to give a couple quick sprays of oil on that so that nothing sticks. And I'm going to place our biscuits on the tray. Try to be neater than I am. Now, once you get them on the tray, make sure that they're pretty close together. See, that's our ugly one. We'll just, leave him over in the corner like that. Make sure they're pretty close together. That way, as they start to expand, they will grow together. And that's helpful because that makes them go upwards. So in the oven at 450 degrees for 13 minutes. All right, while our biscuits are cooking, let's get our gravy going. So for this, we're going to be using 1 cup of water. I have my pan on low heat, but the pan was on the burner for a little while, so it is actually quite warm. As you can see, that is 1 cup of water. Half cup of TVP, or textured vegetable protein. That's going to act as our ground meat-like substitute for this. And I just want to mix that through. This is going to need to hydrate, so I like to just cook it for a couple of minutes to get it going. Move it around with a whisk. While that hydrates, we can add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of dried sage, 1.5 teaspoons of smoked paprika, a little black pepper, about a half teaspoon or so, pinch of salt. Now mix that through. You can see it's already hydrating up. When you do it hot, TVP hydrates very, very quickly. If you leave it to sit, it takes 20-30 minutes or so. I just want to make sure there's herbs and spices in every bit of that. And if you could smell it in here right now, it smells incredible already. And I'm moving it to the edges of the pan so that we can go on to the next step, which is making our roux. For that, I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of our vegan butter, more or less if you want to. That vegan butter also adds a lot of flavor. And I'm going to put a tablespoon of flour right in on top of that. Now, the trick here is you want to whisk this to get out any lumps. I do it in the center of the pan. That way I don't have to incorporate all of the TVP just yet. Now that we're at this stage, I'm going to add in 2 cups of non-dairy milk. This happens to be cashew milk. And we stir. This is the pivotal phase here. You want to mix to combine all of this stuff together. At this point, I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit to about medium. I want this to come just to a boil so that we can get it to thicken. While I'm waiting for this to heat up, let me explain a couple of terms. We used a roux, which is basically just fat and flour together, and what that does is it acts as a thickening agent. Once that comes up to temperature within a liquid, all the starches kind of explode into the liquid, and they hold in suspension, and they make it thicken. That's how gravies are made. At this point, I can switch over to my spoonula, and I'm just going to kind of pat out that little thing of butter that I saw there. And just keep it moving. You don't want this to burn to the bottom of the pan. And I'm going to turn it up just a little bit so I can get a little bit more heat in here and make this happen a little bit more quickly. All right, we're just coming up on a boil and it's starting to thicken a little bit already, but I'm going to continue cooking it for a few more minutes because I want to really condense those flavors down a little bit. And it also helps to fully hydrate that TVP. And after just a few more minutes, you can see that it's reduced a little bit and it's nice and thick, and we have those pieces of TVP all plump in there. Check that out. Okay, so let's get our biscuits and start assembly. All right, here's our biscuits. Have to admit, I'm slightly disappointed. They did not fluff up as much as I would like, but they will still taste good. That's the beautiful thing about home cooking. It's going to taste good pretty much no matter what it looks like. Though, I like my food to be more attractive whenever possible, especially since, I'm trying to make a channel here and stuff. But let's split one of these in half just so we can plate one up. Kind of cut it as much as I can, open it up inside, and see, looks nice inside, so just don't show the outside. Now I'll just take some of that gravy and pour it right over the top. And now it's time for me to take some pictures for a thumbnail. Let's give it a try. The biscuit is actually nice and soft. I would like them to be a little fluffier, but this actually works really, really well. The gravy itself has a nice sausagey flavor. It's got a little bit of that sage in there, so this works nice for a breakfast. And overall, this is just seriously comforting comfort food. I need more. But as always, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on The Bistro.